I've lived a life without God completely, and I lived a life with God completely, and I've never been more happy.
Welcome back to Authentic Gospel. We're so glad that it's another Sunday and we get to share another podcast episode, and this one is super awesome. I just don't think you guys are ready to see just how amazing Jesus Christ is, and amazing our guest is, obviously. But we want you to subscribe so that we can keep building our community of returned missionaries.
Yep.
Kenzie, do you want to introduce our guest?
I do. You guys, I am so excited for our guest. You have no idea. This is Sam Wait, is it Hodges?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm pronouncing it right. Sam Hodges. She is the guy I'm dating. Because I don't like to say the word boyfriend because I'm stubborn like that. But I've been better. Anyways, she is his high school childhood type friend. Obviously, I want you to introduce yourself and all of that stuff, but we are going to watch the video, and we'll put the video up on screen just so you guys can see what we're talking about when it comes to transformation. Jesus Christ transforming his children.
You're so pretty. So that's all I have to say. You're so pretty.
Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, but you look so much happier. Tell us your story.
I've been debating and I've been trying to figure out how and where to start, because I feel like I have told it so many times and in similar ways, but like with the lens of how you guys are directing this towards missionaries. I've been trying to figure out how to do it directed towards missionaries. And there's something crazy that actually happened this Sunday. There was a kid who was in my Sunday school class, and after I finished teaching, there's this girl, I looked at her and I was like, I know I need to talk to her. So I go over and I start talking to her, and she's like, wait, I have a question for you. And she brings this other kid over to her, and she's talking to me, and she's like, I'm gonna ask you the same question that he just asked me, because I feel like it's important if you answer it. And I was like, okay, great. And she makes the kid ask the question that he asked. Did that make any sense what I just said?
Yes. It
Okay. Okay. Basically, he was going around and he was asking people, how do you know God's real? And I feel like that's a very it's a question that I feel like a lot of people have, but it's also a question that's looked over. How do you believe God's real? Oh, I have faith. Oh, I have this. Oh, I have this. Which are very, very, very important answers, right? But how did you as a human being come to know that Christ is real? And all of a sudden there was this group of 6 of us that were just gathered around this kid, and there was these 2 girls, and they start going on and on about their answers and how they found Christ and how they came closer to him. And my missionary brain just kicked in and was there's obviously a reason he's asking this question. Why is he asking this? I knew nothing about this kid. And so listening to the Spirit, God was telling me what to ask him. And I was like, okay, well, why are you asking this question? Where does this question come from? Are you wondering yourself? Or is it just you just want to hear people's stories? And he's like, no, I want to know. I've been talking to the missionaries for 2 weeks. This is I think it was his first or second time at church. And I was like, how are you liking it so far? And he's like, I just moved here to Utah. and I can feel a difference. Like, people here actually want to talk to me. People here want to get to know me. People want to hear my own story. People, like, love people. And I think growing up in Utah, like, I hated living here. Like, I absolutely hated it. Like, right after high school, I left. I'll get into that. But, like, I hated it. And because we always have the stigma of, like, we're in a bubble and yada, yada, that whole thing. I think that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Because I think, now I believe that it's the stupidest thing I've heard in my life. Before I believed it. But people can feel the difference when they're surrounded by people who are just trying to love Jesus. People can feel the Spirit when they're with you, even if you're not talking about Jesus. And so this guy, that is what he was attracted to. He was attracted to feeling the Spirit. And so I was like, okay, God, like, what do I tell this kid? Because, like, I could go on forever and ever and ever about how I know that you're real. But what is impactful? What will be impactful for him to hear at this moment? And all I could tell him was, I've lived a life without God completely, and I lived a life with God completely. And I've never been more happy. Ever. And there's no way, there's, like, earthly happiness, but there's a happiness between joy. There's a difference between joy and happiness, and it's upon condition. Like, joy doesn't leave. Happiness is if you're in a good circumstance, if you're in a happy circumstance. And, like, I could just tell that he was, like he was actually listening to me. And then the girl that told me to answer the question earlier, she was like, she turned to him and she's like, that's the Spirit you're feeling. Like, God is testifying to you that what is being said right now is true. And it was just a moment of, like, 6 people standing in a room who were still continuing to be missionaries after they had been missionaries and helping a kid come closer to Jesus Christ. And it's, like, moments like that where I think missionaries come home and they think, okay, what I need to do next is I need to continue to live the commandments, obviously. I need to continue to go to the temple. I need to continue to read my scriptures. I need to get married. I need to have a family. I need to do those things. And all those things are completely true. But we forget that the purpose of this life is not only to bring yourself home, but it's to bring other people with you. Or why are you going home? Why are you going back to heaven if you didn't bring anybody with you? So it's, like, moments like that where it was like, God is so good, and you're right. Like, I am so much happier. And it is because moments like that where God reteaches me, this is why you're here.
Mm-hmm. I love that. That just reminded me of something that I read. I'm in Eternal Families class, and it was this quote about that, about not, being able to bring people. So it says, being one in a family carries a great responsibility of caring, loving, lifting, and strengthening each member of the family, so that all can righteously endure to the end in mortality and dwell together throughout eternity. It is not enough just to save ourselves. It is equally important that parents, brothers, and sisters are saved in our families. If we return home alone to our Heavenly Father, we will be asked, where is the rest of the family? This is why we teach that families are forever. The eternal nature of an individual becomes the eternal nature of the family. That's by Robert D. Hales. Isn't that so good?
So good.
So I love that you said that. And I think that's something that I've noticed about both you and Drew is you're very personable to people. You both love people. And, like, your podcast right now that you're doing, like, you're just getting a bunch of people and just talking. Like, you're getting a bunch of random people who don't know each other to have this conversation about God and ask the hard questions and things like that. Like, that, I just feel like with people like that who lead in that way, they have such a deep story behind them where their heart literally had to change in ways to be able to be that type of leader, if that makes sense. So would you go a little more into, kind of your life? You said without God.
Mm-hmm.
Could you go more into that?
Mm-hmm. Of course. I guess I'll start when I was a kid. We'll start from the beginning. When I was younger, I remember I'm going to say like 5th grade. I remember I'd come home every single day and I'd make myself a cheese quesadilla, and I'd have my book in my other hand, and I'd run up to my bathtub, and I'd sit in my bathtub for hours, and I'd be reading this book, and I'd be eating my cheese quesadilla, and I was so happy. Like, it was just a moment where I could just be away from all the math problems at school and all the boys that were so annoying and all the things in a 5th grader's mind, right? Mm-hmm. And eventually this, like, it's a silly thing for me to say, but like the bathtub like became my sanctuary. Like, it was my favorite place to be ever. I love water. It just like brings me so much peace. And that will be relevant in a second. But as I got older, my mom's always taught me to ask a lot of questions. My mom is very inquisitive, and she just taught me how to do that too. And so as I grow up and as I was in these church classes and as I started to go to seminary my freshman year, I would not shut up. Like, I was a student who was like, okay, but how about this? Like, come on. Like, let's be so for real right now. And as my questions started to turn into doubts, which started to turn into, I'm going to prove you wrong. And so whenever I had a spiritual question, I would ask my teacher, whoever it was, and a lot of the times they couldn't answer it, because there's a lot of questions that are in the gospel that we can't fully answer and we won't ever know the answer to in this life. And I hated that. I was like, how could you believe in something that you can't know or answer me? Like, how could you believe that? I just didn't understand. And so that's how I started going into my high school career, my high school life. And eventually that just like tore my spirit down. Like, I mean, if you are sincerely asking questions and trying to sincerely find answers, God will provide. But I didn't want the answers. I just wanted people to know that they were wrong. And so I had lots and lots of problems and questions about the church, specifically about Joseph Smith. I had a lot of questions about polygamy. I had a lot of questions about just like afterlife things I didn't completely understand. And it was also because I never took the time to understand. And I think that's where a lot of questions stem from for people. When they question their own faith, it's because they lack understanding, and it's because they haven't taken the time to actually get to know the scripture and where this is actually based out of, and not just other people's opinions and thoughts about it. Anyway, so my questions again started completely tearing down my soul, and I like became, I don't know how to, it's not numb. I wasn't numb. But I just completely stopped caring about anything gospel related at all. And I completely fell away from the church, and I had a very close-knit group of friends, Drew included. And we were kind of all on the same path, really. Like, none of us really had, I mean, each of us individually had our own separate reasons about why this was happening in our lives, but it was like we collectively, unspokenly just stepped away from God as this group. And it's so crazy now. It's so crazy now, but we'll get back to that in a second. And I loved these people. I loved these people, and I love these people because of the faith that it took for us to all come back was insane. Because where we were at, like it was like, you know, like those pictures where it's like there's like, okay, you know like those Pinterest pictures where it has like those, like it's like kind of bad sketching and it has like the clouds around them, like those pictures, like that's how our lives felt. Like, it was just like messy, and it didn't make any sense, and we were making stupid choices. We fell into the wrong things, and it just like got progressively worse. And for me, I can personally tell about my own story, not theirs. I started, the first time I tried drugs, I think it might have been the end of my freshman year or beginning of my sophomore year. And it was with one of my really, really close friends, and I thought it would just be a one and done type thing. It wasn't really like something I had ever really like thought I would get into, really, but it also wasn't something that I was against, which was also the problem. And I remember that day, and I remember like like genuinely being so high out of my mind that I was just like, this is great. Like, I don't have to feel anything. I don't have to think about anything. Like, these questions and these thoughts in my mind are, they stopped. They're quiet for a second. And that was also a moment where I think a lot of people say that when you fall into like addiction or when you fall into something bad, like God leaves you, and I am here to say that it's completely not true. Like, at all. At all. Like, in my 4 years of being away from the church and being in addiction and being with the wrong people, the Spirit led me every single day. I just didn't know it was the Spirit. I literally, I've said this before over and over and over again, but I genuinely thought I was like, what is it called when you can like tell the future?
Seer.
I thought I was a psychic. Like, I genuinely thought I was a psychic. Like, I would have random things happen to me in my life, and I'd be like, this person's going to come around the corner right now. And it was, like, somebody I had, like, a past with that was, like, really hard for me to see again. And, like, God would be like, this person's going to come around the corner. Like, just be prepared. And then they would. Or, just different things like that would happen. Or, like, slow down your car. There's a police, right? Like, just, like, little things like that. And I would listen. But I, like, was convinced I was a psychic. I, like, wrote, like, a note in my phone. It literally says, I think I know things I shouldn't. And then I had lists upon lists upon lists for like these 4 years about things that I was told that would happen before they actually happened. I thought it was myself. But it was God. Like, God was protecting me, and he was trying to help me understand that he was still there, and he was still listening to me even though I wasn't listening to him at all. Like, at all. And so again, I was really caught up in drugs, and it was like at school, it was after school, it was like I was sneaking into my house. And the reason I brought up the bathtub earlier is because like the difference, right? Like, I was coming home as this 5th grader girl who just wanted to read stories about people that she wished she could be friends with and just get lost in a different world, and eating my cheese quesadilla in my bathtub, to then being a junior in high school and sneaking drugs home in my shoes so I could hide them in my bathroom. Like, the difference between that is significant to me because it showed what my true self was, and then what the adversary was trying to turn me into. And again, the whole time God was there. Like, God, I like felt, I don't know how to explain it, but I felt no worry from God. Like, God wasn't worried that I was going to wreck my life. God knew that I needed to go through this. So then I could go on my mission and I could teach people who have been through the same thing I have. And I'm convinced of that. I really am. Anyway, in my senior year of high school, I started to, my friend group, like, they were kind of trying to change their lives, come back to church, kind of figure out their lifestyle, what they wanted. And I was sitting next to my best friend, and we were in the lunchroom, and we were just sitting on the floor, and we were just quietly, like, just watching people pass. And he was like, they have something that we don't. And that's all he said. That's all he said. I don't even think he'd remember that he said that. But that has stuck with me ever since. And it was like, okay, what did these people have that we didn't, that I didn't? And it was the joy of Christ. It really was. And eventually, my friends, they started preparing for missions. And I was like, okay, bye guys, whatever. Like, have fun. I never once thought about a mission in my life. Like, not one time. It was never something I wanted to do. And after high school, I moved to North Carolina, and I just needed to get away from the environment I was in. I had lost a lot of friends in high school, and just like, I just was sick of my image being the way it was, and I thought that if I left, it would just all go away, and I'd be able to start over and everything would be fine. At this point in my life, I was clean. And I moved to North Carolina. I ended up getting this amazing roommate. She was so funny, so great. She drank and she smoked, but she didn't do it as much around me until she started to get a little bit more comfortable around me. And I think that's when she was just like, oh, like, Sam will be fine. Like, she'll be fine. I wasn't fine. I wasn't fine. This is actually kind of crazy to me, but I was like highly addicted to nicotine at the time. And I think people think that when you stop doing something, it just goes away. But like, there's still days where I'm like, I would do anything to just be able to go to a gas station and buy one right now. And those are the nights that are really, really hard. And there was a lot of the times where I'd have those nights, and I was living in the room with her, and she'd have one, and she'd be asleep. And in my head, I'd be like, if she doesn't know, and if nobody else knows that I'm about to hit this vape, then I'll be fine. So I think I was like halfway through the school year. I had been completely fine. And there was one night where I crawled out of my top bunk and I literally stole her vape. and I just remember that moment where it was like, am I trying to be clean for myself, or am I trying to be clean so other people think I'm clean? Like, am I trying to stay away from this addiction because I want to, or because other people want me to? And I fell back into it for a little bit there. And another thing about people with addiction is they lie. They lie about it a lot. And my best friend at the time back home, I was on a FaceTime call with him, and he like saw like a little bit of smoke, like a little bit over the FaceTime call. And he was like, he didn't say anything about it until like months later. And it was like, then when I was like, I'm lying to him, I'm lying to myself, I'm lying to my parents, I'm lying to God. Like, what am I doing? Like, what am I putting myself through right now? And I just couldn't do it anymore. I was like, I'm so sick of lying all the time, and it was exhausting and tiring. North Carolina was really great. I met one of my best friends, and like he lives in South Korea, and he's like showed interest in wanting to meet with missionaries, and so I know definitely that was one of the reasons why I was there. But another reason why I was there is because the South is very religious based, and a lot of these kids' parents are very, very religious. And it was interesting because it was a very big party school. So a lot of the kids went there so they could get away from their parents, and so they could just do whatever they wanted. But it was interesting the moments that I could have religious conversations with people, because I hadn't had it in years. And it was crazy because it was voluntary. It wasn't something I was trying to stay away from, but it wasn't something I was like adamant about wanting to talk about Jesus. And it was crazy, the conversations that I was able to have. I don't even remember what this conversation was, but there was this one time we were walking back from like a hike or something. There was this kid I'd never met in my life, and we just started talking about God. And he shared his experience, and I was just talking a little bit. I didn't go into too much of depth about anything at all. But he like turned to me and he was like, that's exactly what I needed to hear. And then he just walked away, and that was it. And it was like in that moment where I was like, okay, God is still working with me. Like, even though I'm not going to church, even though I'm not reading my scriptures, even though I'm not doing anything I'm supposed to at all, God is still working with me. And why? And it was because the people around me needed it. And I just didn't notice. And I moved back to North Carolina. I moved back to Utah. And one of the people in our friend group goes on his mission. And the other three of us were still home, and it was cool to be able to see how each of us were still working towards God, but in our own different ways at that time. And a week after the one person in our friend group left on his mission, I went to go visit Spain with my family. We went to Europe because my dad served in Spain. And we just did, and my uncle's also in the Air Force, so we went to visit Germany. And so it was really cool to just see how the people are over there. Europe's amazing. You guys, it's so beautiful there. But when we were in Spain, I got to walk and see where my dad taught people. And I got to meet the people that he taught. And it was like one of those moments where it was like I love my father. Like, I love my dad so much. And he's made more impact on people other than me. Like, what? That's amazing, and that's so cool. And I couldn't fully process how I felt and what I was feeling in that moment. And then we ended up going to Rome, and we were just walking around one day, and my dad was like, we need to go to the temple right now. And we're all like, what? That's not on the itinerary. I'm like such like a, that was not on the list, Dad.
Okay.
That's not what we're doing today. I wasn't aware. And he was like, no, we need to go. And so people in Europe are kind of mean, low-key. And they like wouldn't take my family all in one car. So we ended up having to get 2 different cars. And anyway, it was just like a whole thing. It took us like an hour to get there. And we finally get there, and the visitor center is about to close in like 10 minutes. But we walk in, and it was so beautiful. There was like, right when you walk in, there's like this stained glass, and it's all of Jesus's parables in one stained glass. And there was a sister missionary who was there, and I would do anything to meet her again. Like, I don't know her name. All I remember is she had long blonde hair, and that's literally all I know. But she oh my gosh. Okay, so we go in. She starts giving us this tour, and we like sit in these seats right in front of the stained glass, and I'm like over here not paying attention at all because I just didn't care. And then my siblings are all like asking questions about the stained glass, and my mom was like out walking somewhere. Anyway, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm watching her explain all of these parables, and she's like walking back and forth, and she's like running to all of them, and she's so excited to tell us about this. And like subconsciously I was like, what does she have that I don't? It was a question that was asked earlier, right? What does she have that I don't? And what am I missing? I don't get it. And again, I'm just watching her, and then we end up leaving a little bit later, and we're on the streets of Rome, and it was beautiful, and there was jazz music playing down the street, and we sit down at this restaurant. And I remember the second I sat down in this chair, it was low-key a really uncomfortable chair, but I sat down in this chair, and I literally felt like I was on fire. Like, I felt like somebody had just like lit a match on my clothes, and I was burning. Like, it was the most insane feeling I've ever felt in my life. And I didn't know what to do with that uncomfortability. Like, I had no idea how to react at all. Like, I felt like, not like stuck, but I like couldn't move, and I like just started crying. And my parents were like, what the heck is wrong with you? Because this was not normal. And they were like, what is going on? And my siblings ended up all needing to go to the bathroom at the same time. I don't know how that happened. And so they all left, and then my parents were like looking at me, and they're like, what is going on? Like, what's happening? And I was like, hold on. So I get up, and I text my cousin who was serving a mission in Nashville, Tennessee. And I was like, Maddie, I think I'm supposed to serve a mission. And she was like, just do it then. And I said, okay. And I came back, I sat down, and my family was all gathered around me, and they're like, what's going on, Sam? Like, what's happening? And I was like, I think there's something I'm supposed to do. And they were like, what? And I was like, I think I'm supposed to serve a mission. And the looks on all of their faces, like, they were like so confused. They were like astounded, and like I was too, that I had even said it out loud. And I was like, don't hold me to it. Like, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow, it's gonna go away. I'm not, like, it's not gonna happen at all. And it didn't go away. I remember the date. It was June 8th, and I came home from that trip, and that week I opened my portal. The next month I got endowed, and then I ended up doing another semester of school, and then I ended up starting my mission on January 29th, 2024. Best day of my life. Best day of my life. And like, I have no idea how it happened. Like, I literally went from being inactive for I don't know how they let me go on a mission. I literally went on.
Like, wait a second.
I have no idea. Let me do that. But I went from being inactive for 4 years to turning in my papers the next week. And I literally don't know how it happened. And it was like I finally understood why all that happened in my life. And why it still continues to happen. It's literally just to serve other people. And there's actually a scripture that I was reading the other day that I was like, this is literally perfect. It's in Alma 26. It's after one of the times where they all come home from like serving like parts of their missions, you know. There's many different sections, but this is when Ammon is like rejoicing in the Lord, and it's like, wow, like this is all the things that he has done for us. And it says, how great reason we have to rejoice, for could we not suppose that if we had started in the land of Zarahemla, that God would grant us such great blessings? And now I ask you, what great blessings has he bestowed upon us? Can you tell? And I love this because he says, if we hadn't started in Zarahemla, then we would not be where we are now. That's exactly how I feel. Like, if I had not been through all I had been through and like experienced all that I had, then I would not have served a mission. And I would not be doing what I'm doing now. I would not be a member of the church. I don't know what I would be doing right now, genuinely. And then I love how he continues to ask the question of, what great blessings has he bestowed upon us? And can you tell? Can you tell that any of these actually are blessings from God? Like, because there's so many great things that happen in our lives, but do we remember that they don't just come from us? We're not psychic. We can't tell the future. Like, it's literally just God's power. And I think, like, since I've been home, I've been able to, well, the biggest thing I've been able to learn is that God's power is real. I was coming home. It was my last, like, interview with the president before coming home. And him and his wife were in the room, and we were just talking about my mission and all the things. And they're going to give me a priesthood blessing. And they were like, is there anything that we can bless you with? Is there anything that we can do for you before you leave? And I told them, I was like, I am still struggling with cravings from my previous addictions. And I know they're never going to go away. I'm not expecting them to go away. But I would like to have some help with this. Like, just a little bit. And the president's wife, she looks me straight in the eyes and she was like, Sister Hodges, you have been so faithful and trusted God your entire mission. Like, you don't think he'd take this from you? Like, really? You don't think he could? Let's just ask it to go away. I was just like looking at her and I was like, there's no way. like even after all the miracles I had seen on my mission with other people, like hearing her say that to me, I was like, come on. Like, there's no way. And I was like, okay, let's try it out, I guess. And especially leading up to this week, it was like super bad. And anyway, I was just sitting there and like he laid his hands on my head and I just remember like so much peace. And it was just so quiet just for a moment. And he basically asked God to take it away from me. And it did. It was gone. It was gone, and I never thought it would go away. I never thought there'd be a day where I could wake up and not crave a substance. I genuinely didn't. And it was probably the biggest miracle of my life. And I've had a lot, but that was definitely probably the biggest. And and then I thought I thought that would stay forever. I thought God had just blessed it all to go away and I'd be fine for the rest of my life and everything would be good. And then I forgot what the scriptures teach me. I forgot that there's action to what the blessings were given. And so when I got home from my mission, I tried to be super diligent. I tried to read my scriptures every day. I tried to pray. I tried to go to the temple. And I was pretty bad at being consistent because I had never lived a life in the covenant or in the commandments beforehand. So I didn't know how to do it when I got home. I literally was so confused. I did not know how to live life like how it was supposed to. And so I let the little things slip. Like, I was still being a good person and doing all the things, but I didn't read my scriptures every day. I didn't pray, all the things. And there was one night where the cravings came back. And I was like, God, you gotta be kidding me right now. Like, I thought this was done. I thought you took it. And I just remember him, like, in my head, he was like, I'm still here, but you just forgot. And I was like, you're so right. I did forget. And it was just a reminder to me that, like, God will continue to bless us, but we have to continue to act on what he has given us. And that's what I forgot. And so there's times and days where I go on and I forget to read my scriptures, And it's not like those, like he's like punishing me by being like, I'm gonna give this craving to you back now, but it is like
I'm gonna give you this.
no, and that's not how it works every time, but it's like gentle reminders of like, hey Sam, like I'm here, I'm trying to talk to you, like come on. And I always like compare the scriptures. You know how there's like different love languages? Mine is definitely words of affirmation, but like not like how people usually think of words of affirmation. I love letters. Like I love tangible written things that I can hold, and like it never goes away. And so there's like, God always reminds me of like, hey, like I wrote you a letter today, pick it up, it's right here. Like it's literally in your scriptures. Like I wrote you a letter and I'm trying to talk to you and I love you. And so I don't know, I still struggle with like wanting to go back to my old life, and I think that's something that a lot of people are afraid to admit. But when you're so used to something being a certain way, and instant gratification is the devil's like favorite thing ever. Like he loves when people are just happy for one moment and then feels terrible afterwards. And there was the other day, I went to a concert, and it was like one of my mission friends' concerts. And I was like wearing like dark eyeliner, dark lipstick. I had my hair done or whatever. And one of the kids, he comes up to me for my mission, and he was like, I just watched your video. Like, I thought like you weren't goth and emo anymore. Like, why are you doing this now? And I like looked at him, and I was like, my instant like reaction was to be offended, and was to be like why would you say that to me? But then I realized he had no idea. He had no idea that it doesn't like I wasn't showing that video to show how I outwardly changed, but it was how I inwardly changed. Like I was not happy in any of that, and I am now. And there's a difference between your soul fighting to stay alive and your soul being alive. And hopefully you can tell. Hopefully there's a difference. And I am grateful for moments like that where I could like take a breath and be like, okay. And I just told him the same thing I just told you guys. Like it was all on the inside. And yeah, that's basically a summary of all the things.
It's so cool. I am in awe, and I have no words. I did have a question, because you mentioned earlier that several times that you feel like your change was to help bless other people, especially on your mission. Do you have an experience of needing to apply the things you've been through to people that you taught?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. There was, there's so many, especially in the South. The Southern people are very, very good at talking about Jesus, but they have a very hard time, I would say, living it. A lot of them do fall into addictions because of the way that they're raised. Like a lot of them are raised in families who like just pass around the joint around the dinner table. Like that's just how they grew up. And so it's very different there. And so being around that, it was really hard for me because it was just all around me all the time. But I think that's where God gave me power to be able to just, there was this one lady, and we visited her a ton, and she was the sweetest person ever. She was so kind, and we just sit outside of her house, and we'd have these lessons, and she'd have these great questions, and she wanted to get baptized, and she wanted to progress. She really did. And eventually she just got to the point where she's like, I don't think I can give this up. Like, I don't think I can. And like I never like, there wasn't a time where I ever like went into depth about my own story, but there were times where like I could look somebody in the eye and be like, hey, like you can, like I promise you can do it. Like it's literally only through God's power that you can, but I promise you that you can. And it was also a time where I realized that yes, we have God's power, but we have to take it. We have to actually take a hold of it. It's there. If you want to change, you can, but it's all in the like if you want to. And she just didn't want to at that time. And there's many different circumstances like that. And there was this one guy, he's literally my favorite person in the whole world. There was one P-Day where I keep needing to burp.
Do it.
But it's like stuck. You know, there's like a bubble. Anyway, okay. there was this one guy, it was a P-Day, and I was the most annoying missionary ever, low-key. Like, I literally wouldn't shut up even on P-Days. Like, like my companions were all like, Sam, like, Sister Hodges, like, we have to go to district lunch. And I was like, but this person, like, I need to hear about the gospel.
Sorry, I love that.
No, but it was
so
probably
good.
so annoying for everybody else. Anyway, there was this guy, and he was like by the produce section. He was like crossing right here, and it doesn't matter where he was walking. Whatever, we were in the produce section, and he like stopped, and he was like looking at like food, and I saw him, and I like called out to him, and I was like, I love your shirt. Like, God told me I needed to talk to him, but like it wasn't like to just approach him like, hey, you want to come to church? It was like, hey, I love your shirt. He was like, oh my gosh, thank you. Like, my daughter gave this to me for my birthday. And it turns out this man is the biggest talker I've ever met in my entire life. So he just kept going on and on and on and on and on. And I was stuck there for like 20 minutes, and I was giggling because he was so funny. And I literally loved him. And he was like late 50s or something. I don't know. So he was like just like a cute little dad, you know. And I was like, I'm literally obsessed with you. And we eventually got to invite him to come to a church tour, and he came and he asked a ton of questions. And I remember the member we were with and my mission companion, they were like, he's not gonna come to church. He's not gonna, like, he asks too many questions to actually learn. And I was like, what? Like, he asked too many questions? Like, what do you mean? And I think that's another stigma that needs to be broken. Like, just because you ask so many questions doesn't mean you don't have faith. And I was grateful that this guy that we were teaching was able to like prove that to them without like knowing that he was doing that, because eventually we taught him, and he was so ready. Like, he was so prepared. He was so excited, and he was just amazing. Anyway, and turns out his daughter's husband was also a member, and it was just cool to be able to like bring his religion into their home, because he was in the army, so he was never around and never really got the opportunity to like take them to church. Anyway, so it was cool to be able to do that. And it was like, he was a coffee drinker. He used to smoke, and he used to drink alcohol. He had stayed away from that for a long time. And I remember there was one time we came over to his house, and he had like a whole thing of like, what's it called? Iced tea. Maybe it wasn't iced tea. I can't remember. Yeah, I think it was iced tea. And he just was like, he didn't even say anything. He just walked over to a sink and just started pouring them all out. And was just like staring at us and just like smiling. And it was just a moment like that where it was like, like it was just so
awesome.
funny and adorable. But it was also where it was like, wow. Like, I didn't even ask you to do that. Like,
The commitment.
And it was just like, it's like moments like that where it's like people are willing to give up so much if they're promised Jesus, and if they're willing to listen. So hopefully that answered your question a little bit. I just want to know how it went.
I love that. Especially, I don't know, I guess I just haven't thought about that a lot, like the whole question thing. Like, there are people that have, I think there's a lot of spiritual gifts. Some people, they are just gifted with faith. They're gifted with that faith.
Which is amazing.
Which is awesome. But I think if we can be aware of each other's spiritual gifts, there's some people, they can't just have that faith. And that doesn't mean that you're better than them. That doesn't mean that they're better than you, because they have a lot of questions that they're asking. But like, we all have different ways of understanding who God is and coming closer to him. And so I think that's just something that I've learned today. Like, when it comes to spiritual gifts, just because someone has more questions doesn't mean that their path is any, obviously it's different, but not
less
like,
than.
it's not less than. Mm-hmm. We're all headed toward the same direction, just in different ways. And so that's what I just love about your story is, like, no one's past, we cannot, and I will say this so boldly to anybody who is judging someone by their past, like, you cannot judge someone's past. Like, you just can't. And there's it was in this past Come Follow Me by President Holland. It's the talk, he gave a BYU speech called Remember Lot's Wife. Do you know that? So, this was so good. It was in the last Come Follow Me. And he says, apparently, what was wrong with Lot's wife was that she wasn't just looking back in her heart, she wanted to go back. It would appear that even before she was past the city limits, she was already missing what Sodom and Gomorrah had offered her. Or it's Sodom and Gomorrah. Anyways, it is possible that Lot's wife looked back with resentment toward the Lord for what he was asking her to leave behind. So it isn't just that she looked back longingly. In short, her attachment to the past outweighed her confidence in the future. That, apparently, was at least part of her sin. I plead with you not to dwell on days now gone, nor to yearn vainly for yesterdays. However good those yesterdays may have been, the past is to be learned from, but not lived in. We look back to claim the embers from glowing experiences, but not the ashes. And when we have learned what we need to learn, and we have brought with us the best that we have experienced, then we look ahead and remember that faith is always pointed toward the future. Dwelling on past lives, including past mistakes, is just not right. It is not the gospel of Jesus Christ. To all people of every generation, I call out, remember Lot's wife. Faith is for the future. Faith builds on the past, but never longs to stay there. Faith trusts that God has great things in store for each of us, and that Christ truly is the high priest of good things to come. Your story is exactly what President Holland is saying. You're exactly like the opposite of Lot's wife. You are looking forward, and I can tell that and I can feel that. You are looking forward, not looking back. Yet you also look back to be able to help others move forward, which I just think is so inspirational, and it's inspired me a lot. Maybe I didn't have anything like your past, but like, because I didn't, I've learned so much from it in ways that I can move forward and help others as well, if that makes sense. And so I'm just so grateful for this discussion. Like, I just knew God was just telling me, he was like, this is going to be good. You're going to learn a lot. And so I'm just really grateful for everything that I've learned from your story and your experience. And I can't imagine that the people watching are not feeling the same way. I have a way with words, but
I think just some things I wanted to point out is the beauty of God in that everything that he does for us is the perfect thing that will help us get to know him, you know? Like, somebody, and that's exactly why we can't judge pasts or other people's experiences, because something that may help you get so close to Christ may be the thing that deters me from him, you know? Like, it's all just so personal, and God is so personal. And that's just going back to the beginning of what you started this all off with, you know, how we look at ourselves and other people, and it's not enough to just come by ourselves. We have to bring other people with us. There's a quote from my mission that absolutely changed how I saw people on my mission and how I see people still. And it's from C.S. Lewis. And he says, it may be possible for each to think too much of his own potential glory hereafter. It's hardly possible for him to think too often or too deeply about that of his neighbor. The load or weight or burden of my neighbor's glory should be laid daily on my back, a load so heavy that only humility can carry it. It's a serious thing to live in a society of possible gods and goddesses, to remember that the dullest and most uninteresting person you talk to may one day be a creature which, if you saw it now, you would be strongly tempted to worship. All the day long we are in some degree helping each other to one or another of these destinations. There are no ordinary people. Your neighbor is the holiest object presented to your senses. And like, I don't even have words to follow that quote up with.
It's
because
beautiful.
yeah, just like where it's come unto Christ, but don't come alone. Like we have so much work, and it doesn't end with our missions. And there's so many people who are out there searching, who God is not leaving alone, but we have a part to play in helping them see God better and, you know, wipe the dust off the book a little bit.
Yes.
And so I just am grateful for you coming and sharing all that.
Absolutely.
We just would
guys.
love to hear your advice for returned missionaries and then your final testimony of the Savior.
And before you do that, I just want to say that the moment I knew that we wanted you on the podcast was, the moment I knew I wanted you on the podcast was when it was just me, you, and Clark, Drew's little brother. And Clark was talking about how you and Drew saw each other. I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry. When you and Drew saw each other after returning home from your mission. And you guys were like, what the heck just happened? And then you had said, only through Jesus Christ. And Clark, his little brother, was like, what the heck did Sam just say? Who is this girl? And that was when I was like, this girl, she is changing lives, and she's going to continue to change lives. And we need this platform. We need her on this platform. So I just want to thank you again. You're going to inspire a lot of people.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me talk about this. I think I loved all of the things you guys just said too. I think it's like when you share like such a fragile part of your life so often, I think it becomes something you're used to talking about. Sorry. But I think like there's a lot of like heartbreak that has come with all of it. Yeah, there's been a lot of joy. But I've also like lost a lot of people in my life because I've listened to God. And that's the part that sucks the most. And like what you were talking about, like in your quote, how it said that like your neighbor and your people around you are like the holiest creations. And it's hard to see that sometimes. And it's also hard to realize that those holy creations, those amazing people, are only supposed to be in your life for a short amount of time and then they leave. And I think my advice to missionaries is your life is significantly going to change. Like once you put that tag on and then once you come home, you can't go back. Like don't turn around, don't become that pillar of salt. Like do not turn around. And you will lose people, but they are just as important to God as you're important to God. And so they'll be taken care of. And I think that's a lot of people's fear about going on a mission is how they will change, and like family dynamics and friend dynamics. And it's really hard to start all the way over and find new people and to become a new self. But like going on that mission and meeting all those all those companions, like God has set those people in your life for a reason. And the things that you learn from the scriptures, like again, like they're all love letters from God. They're all written for you. And you're supposed to read them at that time. And you're supposed to share them with the people that are around you. And you are supposed to be the one to do it. So do it. Like, please. Like, I told my family that I'm going to force all my kids to go on a mission. And they're like, that's not how that's supposed to work. But I need people to have those experiences because it was the most amazing thing ever. So, if you are thinking about it, hi camera. If you're thinking about it, just do it. Like, don't even think about it, just do it. Which is probably like crazy advice, but like if God is giving you that prompting, like listen to it, please, because there's so many lives that you're supposed to change. And God has prepared you to do it through your own life. So yeah,
Amen.
amen. And then testimony by Jesus.
Yes,
Yeah.
please.
I can do that.
I can do that.
I can do that. I don't even know how to ever start because I mean I just basically gave my whole testimony about Jesus, but I think in church the other day there was something that somebody said where they're talking about the fishes and the loaves story, and how when Jesus did it, there was so many people, right, and they didn't have very much food, and this is a parable that's talked about a ton. But what I didn't like fully understand is that like while these baskets and these things were being passed around, the disciples and Jesus weren't like only take one, right? Like our God and Jesus are gods of abundance. They want to give us as much as they possibly can provide us. And so I bet those families took food home. And I like to think that with the extras that the disciples had, they went on the streets and gave more. And so I don't believe that there are a limit on blessings. And I just believe that we have to have the faith to continue to find them and continue to look for them and continue to feel them and to continue to give them to other people too. And that's our purpose here in life, is to be those disciples who find the little pieces of food that we can provide to other people, and then Christ multiplies them so we can give them and give them and give them to more people, even when we're exhausted and tired and we don't think we can do it anymore. Like Jesus really is the way, the truth, and life, and he is the only way that we can come back to our Heavenly Father. And we have to bring other people with us while we do it. So continue to give and serve and love, and Jesus will be with you all the way. And I say the same